Hi, welcome to this Telarm webinar called Getting Hacked and Staying in Business. I'm Jonathan Ratner, the founder of Telarm, and it's about lessons in resilient leadership from an actual cyber incident that happened to us in the recent weeks. It was, it shook us up. And so I want to share what we learned from it and help you have the wherewithal and the courage to see yourself through a breach, a data security incident. And it's a brief webinar and it's not about incident response in a technical way. It's sort of the emotional and psychological side of dealing with the data breach. So imagine coming to work Monday morning and someone has issued millions of shekels of fraudulent invoices in your company's name. You try to go in and issue a real invoice, and the government system rejects your credentials. And you don't know, okay, what's going on? Are you still compromised? Are your customers going to trust you? Are you going to be able to stay in business? Do you owe hundreds of thousands of shekels to the tax authorities? This is what happened to us, okay, a few weeks ago. So you have to realize that cybercrime is huge and still growing. It's trillions of dollars, and there are sophisticated professionals who are stealing our money. And, it's much easier than bank robbery. You don't need a gun. You can stay in your pajamas and work from home and steal other people's money through many different schemes. And so no organization is too small to be targeted. Small and medium businesses are frequent targets because we don't have a huge security team. Human error is common, the phishing, smishing, vishing. The criminals are sophisticated professionals. So I'm going to tell you a high level story of sort of what happened. I received a WhatsApp from my accountant, who is a trusted source of information for me, and they told me to use this link to go into my personal area of the tax authorities. And just to give you a little bit of background, as an Israeli company, you're obligated to collect tax on behalf of the government called VAT, value added tax. And so you issue a tax invoice, and another business that paid you that is able to present that invoice and get the money back from the government. So it's well known in Israel that there have been millions and actually billions of shekels of fraud of malicious actors making fraudulent invoices and then taking the money from the government. So the Israeli government has gotten smart and say now you need a particular what's called a mispar haktsa'ah. You have to get a number issued by the tax authorities on each individual transaction. Anything over today 5,000 shekels requires you going into the government system to get a number. But here they hack the government system. So I was unable to issue real invoices for my customers. And I went to, the personal area of the government registration site, and I saw that 3 million shekels worth of invoices had been issued. And that would mean, under ordinary circumstances, that in the middle of next month, by the 15th of the month, I'm going to need to pay that VAT. In Hebrew, it's called ma'am, mas erech musaf, that my company had ostensibly collected, and I was going to have to write a check for 500,000 shekels, which I don't have that kind of money. This could kill me. This could sink my business. So it was very, very frightening and upsetting. Um, so the main thing is take a deep breath. Don't panic. I discovered the fraudulent invoices. They had all been issued within 3 minutes at 454, 455, and 456. And these were huge invoices for hundreds of thousands of shekels. I only issue half a dozen invoices a month, and mine are for not those kinds of sums. So it was obvious that we had been breached, and the tax authority really, I think, had flagged the transaction themselves. But I needed to go to the police. I needed to go to the tax authority. I needed to get a new username and password in order to be able to issue real invoices and get myself back up and running and able to do the things that I need to do to serve my customers, in this case, in an accounting way. After they pay me money, including the VAT, I need to issue them a tax invoice so that they can present that to the authorities and receive the VAT back. And I was unable to do that because I had been locked out of my own account because it had been breached. So it was very upsetting. But the main thing was stay cool. So there's a storm of emotion that hits you when, and I'm a cyber company, so it's not supposed to happen to me. And okay, we fell for it. And again, it was like a supply chain attack where they had sent it to my accountant, and my accountant sent me the malicious link. So now you're feeling embarrassment and anger and maybe fear what's going to happen, and you're confused and you feel bad about yourself, self-doubt, loss of trust, and just like, oh, the whole world's against me. I'm going to go hide under the blanket and just wait it out. But that's what you should not do. Okay. The wrong thing to do is to hide and, oh, I hope this goes away. Delay, I'll deal with it tomorrow or next week. Ignore the warning signs or assume someone else will fix it. Those are all really bad ideas. What you got to do is take the bull by the horns. I once read about a pilot. The first rule is never become a passenger in your own plane. You got to fly the plane. Okay. So you're a business owner, you are a CISO, you're, a private individual, and you've been hacked and it's upsetting and they've stolen your money and you may or may not get it back, but you got to act. You got to be brave and resilient and tough and get in there and fight and do whatever you need to do. And I'll tell you, we live in an age of AI. So ask AI what to do. That's one of the things I did. I went to ChatGPT and said, okay, who do I need to contact and so forth. And I was given, very clear words and deeds. And I immediately got in gear and started doing those things, as opposed to sort of just feeling bad and crying and being depressed. But you got to act right away. So the best thing you could do is face the reality immediately, document everything, screenshots, notify, of course, the right people, the right parties, institutions, preserve all the evidence. And now here's the thing. Customers had paid me money and they're sort of breathing down my neck asking, when are you going to send me the tax invoice? So I had to inform them. I think it was right to inform them. You want to have a certain degree of transparency. You don't have to tell them everything. You want to, manage your image, of course, but you do want to give them a heads up that, oh, we are having a problem. Something happened. I'm in touch with the authorities, and it is going to take me a few days to sort this out until I'll be able to get back to you and provide you with the tax invoice, which I, will do as soon as possible. And then if it doesn't go as quickly as possible, you may want to send them, okay, it's taking me a little longer than expected, but I haven't forgotten about you and I'm working on it diligently. So maintaining the trust of your customers, this is something called business continuity. There's something called disaster recovery, and this is business continuity, where you're trying to, business is tough and it keeps you busy all the time. And then something like this happens and it takes you totally out of focus of the regular things you do in your business. And you have to deal with all this stuff and go to the police station and go to the tax authorities. And I had to go 3 times and so forth. They're closed, and today we don't have the hours, whatever. But you got to give it first priority and deal with it and take control of the situation. So, as I said, I went to the police station. Ultimately, I was able to file police reports online. I went to the tax authorities. It's within walking distance of my house. That was a bonus. We had to figure out, how did this happen? Where did it start? That's called forensics, investigating, and documenting it. And as I said, business continuity. You want to continue to serve your customers and maintain your relationships with your vendors and your employees throughout the process. Don't let anybody, write you off. Many businesses, it could kill you, it could drown you, it could put you out of business, but do your best to stay in the game. So don't panic, don't hide, just deal with what you got to do. So business continuity is security. Most people think security is like firewalls and protocols, but actually security is people, it's leadership, it's communication, it's recovery, it's trust. You want to make yourself a tough target. You want to have good passwords. You want to have firewall, antivirus. You want to patch your software in a timely manner. These are all important elements of a cybersecurity posture, but that's never going to make you immune, okay, or unhackable, because that's just technology is always advancing, and the bad guys are always looking for a new breach, a new way. There's something called a zero-day attack, where there was no warning and they just found a way to attack and steal. So nobody is exempt. Nobody is foolproof that they can't be hacked, and huge companies and the US government, very powerful entities have all been hacked. So it's not such a shame that it's happened to you. But now, what are you going to do about it? Okay. It's about remaining a trusted organization, even though something has gone wrong. And maybe you made a mistake and an error in judgment and you shouldn't have clicked on that. Okay. But people make mistakes. So move on and do the right things now. What the customer cares about is not did you get hacked, but can I still trust you? Okay. So you got to manage their trust. You got to manage the relationship. You got to communicate. Don't hide, but tell them we're working on it. We're making best efforts. We've brought in experts, external experts, or whoever you need to talk to. We've filed a report with the police. That's okay to tell your customers that so they know that there's, something illegal, something serious has happened, and we're dealing with it in the appropriate way. So, 5 lessons learned: assume that it can happen because it does happen every day. There are cyber attacks going on. Prepare before it happens. Another form of attack is, encryption of your data, right? Ransomware. So make very often you want to back up your data and have remote access to your data. Respond immediately when a data breach does occur. Communicate honestly. Again, that doesn't mean telling everything, but communicate honestly with all the stakeholders, all the people that it relates to, whose data, may have been leaked or something like that. You got to tell the people. And the main thing is keep moving forward, keep the business moving. Don't just throw up your hands and say all is lost, but stay, muster your gumption and stay in the game. Business continuity is what it's about. Every organization needs an incident response plan, like who's going to take the lead on managing this. You need, as I said, timely backups. You need logging. You need outside experts. You need executive leadership and even government contacts if possible. So I'll tell you what we do, Telarm. We provide cyber services, a boutique company for small and medium businesses, risk assessment, helping you comply, particularly in Israel, with what's called Tikkun 13 of the privacy laws. We do pen testing, penetration testing to test your system to see how it will stand up to likely attack vectors of the hackers. Privacy, anybody who has PII, personal identification information of your clients, a database of your clients, their names and addresses, or maybe even their credit cards, you are obligated to protect that data. Incident response, that's what we're talking about today, training your staff to be aware, not to do the foolish things and to fall for a phishing attack. Business continuity, staying in there despite whatever happens. And CISO as a service. You want somebody who is an expert and who has the wherewithal, the training, the experience to guide your company in creating a strong cybersecurity posture. So that's a leadership position. The goal of cybersecurity is not perfection, right? Only God is perfect. We're just people trying to do our best. The goal is resilience, picking yourself up after you've fallen down, right? We're getting ready for Chodesh Elul. It's a time of tshuva. So people do fall, but you got to pick yourself up and get back in the game. We're here to discuss business continuity, regulatory compliance, and resilience. Give us a call, send us an email, check out our website, telarm.com, cybersecurity you can trust. Thanks very much for being here. Stay safe out there.